So, we talked about tacos can go in lettuce, it can be on a salad. We talked about, noodles. Here we're talking about pizza. So what I did is I sliced some zucchini. Now, I wouldn't do it on here because it'd be too thin. It wouldn't hold up. So I cut it a little more thick than that. But I just whacked off the edges and cut it in half. And I put it down and I roasted it a little first to soften it. And then I added salt and pepper, always salt and pepper. And then I added a little bit of cheese to hold the tomatoes, and then some buffalo mozzarella, and then basil. And the only fancy part is the balsamic vinegar. And this is the easiest thing in the world. You can look it up online and it'll tell you this. You get a pot and you get balsamic vinegar. I buy the stuff at Sam's Club. It's cheap. Bloop, 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 bloop. And then you make sound effects, right? Then you reduce it, and when it's thick enough to barely coat a spoon, because when it chills down, it's going to solidify more. When it's thick enough to barely do a spoon, I put it into one of those squeeze-looking ketchup bottles, and I just all over things. It makes everything look good. And it adds this sweetness, and it's almost calorie-free. I mean, balsamic vinegar, when it's reduced, is such a beautiful ingredient, and it's fun, and it makes everything look just spectacular. So that's it, and I'll show you the ingredients. Watch. Oh, man. Tomatoes, zucchini, basil, and buffalo mozzarella. Salt and pepper. So it's just a kind of mozzarella. You'll find it in the dairy department. It's in water, and it's sometimes from buffalo. It's from cow's milk too, and other things. But it's a specific. Typically denotes the style, and you just slice it in tubes. They have the teeny little balls. You'll find a lot of times on buffets and things. But it's just another great product because it melts a little different, holds up nicely, and again, for me, like what a cool thing to eat, but it's great for appetizers. Like at our Super Bowl, was it Super Bowl? I don't know. Football party, like that's one of our appetizers, because it's just easy. And people look at it and go, ooh, wow, it's so amazing. It was like really that simple. So, fried chicken. I like me some fried chicken. Right? So, maybe not the healthiest thing, possibly, I'm not sure. It's chicken, right? It should be healthy. So, here's how I do it. Egg whites, and this is cool because I make it in chicken fingers for the kids, and it's really simple. They totally love it. I take lentils, and depending on what color I'm feeling, because I just buy lentils in bulk on sale at Sprouts, and it's like, even not on sale, it's like $2.99. Lentils are high in protein, fiber, they have tons of vitamins. They have some carbs, but not crazy. I put them in a coffee grinder, and I grind it up, and I add salt and pepper, maybe a little garlic, or whatever I have, I don't care. Just throw it in there. And then I take egg whites, and what I do is I take the chicken breast, and I dip it in the egg whites, and then I dip it in my breading mixture, and I put it in a pan with just a touch of that olive oil spray, and I pan sear it and finish it off in the oven at 350 till it's cooked, like done deal. No big deal. And I make crispy, delicious, tasty, gluten-free, low-calorie, healthy chicken. And it's crunchy, and you see, we can still eat healthy and have it be really good. And it's really not a lot of work. Because all I do is wipe this out with a paper towel when I'm done. Because I don't use this for coffee. I use it only for spices and, only for making breadings. And I don't know, I do crazy stuff with it. I never know. When I made those black bean pancakes with the egg whites. Yeah. But, it's just simple. And then, boom, I did it. I had broccolini because it was on sale. And of course I had some squash, because I buy squash a lot, because I like it. It takes on any flavor that I want. It can go because I eat a lot of Asian. I love Asian food, so it'll go really well Asian. It goes Italian. I made it the other night with lemon, capers, chicken stock. Awesome. And then there's my chicken. And a little Parmesan on top. Boom. It was like super good, super simple. And then over a marinara that time, again, because it made sense. And then, just make a lot. Whatever you're doing, don't be shy, make a lot so you can do the prep. It depends on how many people in your family. Don't go crazy if it's just you, because old Scott would have done that. But really just make more, and you'll be able to make meals for a little while. And if you think they're not going to, stay for too long, throw a couple in the freezer. You can pull them out, it's no big deal. Just that chicken stock will reconstitute it. Here's some good examples of like making, one meal and doing it as prep. So I did like some chopped up zucchini and squash. Again, wow, weird how I use those. Pearl onions were on sale. I did a little Asian flair, and then I made some brown rice, and I put it in Tupperware with those and the chicken and a little of the Asian sauce, and done. I did a Mexican style fajita that I did here. And then I did it for the following day. I made it into a soup. I just added chicken stock and made it into a tortilla type soup without tortilla. Simple, you know. I just make the same thing and manipulate it a little bit. And then the other fun thing is if you have friends or neighbors, or, a lot of you come here together to Fit Club with your friends. Man, both of you make a dish, make a bunch and split the prep. And like, all right, I'll give you 2 of mine and you give me 2 of yours. And well, I don't know about trading with Paul. Not sure with you. Just kidding. But like, it's actually fun because you can get, for the same amount of work, you can get a couple different dishes. I'll trade with you, Paul. But it's actually a really fun way of trying more dishes, if someone else is going to do it. Because why not diversify a little bit? Why not have a little bit more fun and try some new things? And then, the other thing I love is share on Facebook because we all inspire each other with new ideas, with different things. And sharing the ideas on there really give us more to choose from. They're like more simple ideas that make sense. So not just my ideas. I love that recently I've seen more and more people putting out photos and tagging me in them, and saying, look at what I'm doing with my dishes. And it's so awesome because they're inspired and now they're inspiring their friends with new ideas of being healthy. And it like slowly just getting healthy, it just gets out into the world, and all of us becoming more healthy gets everyone more healthy. So I love it. So that's really it on the meal prep. Any questions, comments, rude remarks? Yes?
How do you feel about canned beans? Do you usually rinse them off, or like what do you do?
Are you talking about like what kind of beans specifically?
Well, I know kidney.
Or like black beans
like
or
black beans, yeah,
or
like
kidney
if
beans
you
or
get them
things?
or even pinto beans, like if you get them in a can.
Yeah.
Do you rinse them?
I don't.
What is the best?
I don't personally, because those calorie counts and everything that are in there are including everything that's in there. And I buy the organic ones and stuff. And if you read the ingredients and it makes sense, I feel totally fine. But if I think it's going to impact my sauce or what I'm making, then I drain it.
Okay.
It's just more if I'm doing it in a chili or a soup, I'm just like
Yeah.
full thing. And I actually appreciate you saying beans because I like to take beans and mash them up and make them like a mashed potato. So I'll take like white cannellini beans or other beans and I'll mash them, and it'll seem like a mashed potato experience, but it's not. What are the questions?
Where are you posting this?
So some of them are on Health Q Nutrition. A lot of them I do on my Facebook page. But I try not to inundate our page with my dishes every night because then it'd be like Health Q cooking class. But I do quite a few on there. And if you look back at a lot of our posts, you'll see them. And again, when people ask for recipes and things, I try to keep it really simple. Like do some of this, do some of that. Don't get too crazy. It shouldn't take a lot of time. Like I don't measure a single thing. I just put it in there. And then I season with some salt and pepper and I taste it. And then I season it a little more till I get it right. And I don't, when I'm doing pot roast, I don't season too much on the front end because as it reduces, it's going to concentrate. I season at the very finish. I do season the things I'm cooking, but I don't season the whole pot after I'm done. And the rest of it, just like, don't stress over it and you'll have so much more fun. And, just like, look in your fridge, be like, oh my gosh, I have this frozen shrimp I bought 17 weeks ago and I've never used it. And you went to the store and you happened to buy a sauce that, I think, man, that'd be good with shrimp. I'll bet it will be. Like, it'll be awesome. What veggies do you have? Like, oh, I have this. Think of the colors. Like, I like shrimp. It's red and pinkish, so I go for greens and other colors, yellows to complement that. And I do everything over salads a lot. You see that a lot at dinner. I do it over salads because it's just what a great platform, and it fills me up with good vitamins, minerals, and fiber. But yeah, that's where I do it. Other questions?
Yeah. So you mentioned using chicken stock a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason you wouldn't use beef stock or something like that to add flavor to different meals, or is it just?
I like chicken maybe a little more for its neutrality, but I would use beef stock and other things. Like if I had it, I would use it probably in some of my crock pot things and so forth. I just usually buy just a ton of this. So I wouldn't, and there's veggie stocks. There's a lot of great stocks, so you can really use any of them. Definitely more diversity is good. The other thing I use a lot, I buy the Pacific Organic Soups. And again, the number one thing I consider, you probably didn't pass this around because I didn't give it to you. So this one is probably toward the higher end of anything I would do, but because that's 6 portions per jar. Most of the jars I pick are about 4. But when I look at a sauce or anything else, I'm typically looking for something that's like 50 to maybe 100 at most calories per serving, but with like 4 to a big jar. Because I know I'm going to use a lot. I like a lot of sauce. I'm not going to use, like when it says 30 portions, I'm like, really? It's not going to work. Like this is really at the high end calorically of what I would do. This is about 80 calories. for 8 servings. So what I do is I use half of this with chicken stock to spread out the flavor and cut down the calories. And so I can make this into, I mean, the other night we probably made 8 or 10 meals out of half of this can. You know, so 40 calories per portion. And I just really think of the math. And I use chicken stock or anything to really spread out the flavor volume-wise along to other things. Well, it's just an Indian sauce. A lot of sauces are tricky and have a lot of calories. This one's called biryani. So biryani is one of my favorite dishes. I get all excited because I love to eat. My friend from Nepal made this dish because he had an Indian housekeeper in their home in Nepal that taught him how to make it. It's an Indian dish. And this isn't quite like he makes it, but it's for something quick and simple because, again, I just don't want to take a lot of time. I buy all kinds of things. I just really look at the numbers, and then I consider how am I going to use it. You know, because if I'm not going to use it right, like this one, I know I can make it travel further. But if it's something else where I need a lot of it to make it taste good, I just don't use it because I know, you know, if it doesn't taste great, I'm not going to have fun. And I definitely want it to taste great. So that's any other questions? Yes, sir.
So I've never personally looked into this. You might save me a Google search. Any input on dehydrated food?
I've never done anything with it. The only thing I'd say is, you know, like I'll eat some jerkies and things at times when they're on sale and, you know, they're good quality. But I have never really played with it very much. I do know that I was just reading something the other day on dehydrated apricots. And I look in the dehydrated fruits in bulk at ones that don't have sugar added to them. Because most of them are fortified with massive amounts of sugar. And so if there's no sugar added, like I buy figs and I buy dried apricots because they're not usually sugar added, and amazing amounts of potassium, like 1,650 milligrams, which is like 4 times out of a banana in some freaking like a quarter of a cup or an eighth of a cup of apricots. It's crazy. So some of them can be really good. Just don't think they're all good. And I just don't know about the rest of dehydrated foods.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yes.
What's your like go-to on long ride days?
On long ride days?
Yeah.
So when I'm doing a long ride day, often my rides are later in the evening and not in the morning. So it depends, like when would it be, morning or night?
Morning. Like
Okay.
I'm not gonna carry a Tupperware with chicken and rice in it on my bike.
I don't actually, during my rides, I fuel exclusively on our Prolong. When I race the Leadville 100 or anything, I never use any food because when you digest food during a ride or anything, it takes oxygen and blood away from your body and into your digestive system and then creates waste. Most people get gassy. Like, I don't eat bars, I eat nothing. I do liquid only, and I never have a problem. It was funny, I was just talking about it with a pro cyclist, a Tour de France cyclist the other day. There's going to be some videos of him coming out and talking about our stuff because he's our guy. But same thing, exclusively on liquid. Makes such a difference. And then I'll just take baggies of the powder so that where all I have to do is buy a water at a gas station if I'm going on the crazy rides, and just fill it up as I go and boom. But I don't eat anything on a ride. If I'm riding in the evening, I'll fuel up during the day with a much higher carb intake, like 3-to-1 carb to protein, still with veggies and lots of good fats and things. Like I like guacamole, chicken, and tons of brown rice during the day. And then when I'm riding in the evening, that's
Even on like a 10-hour ride, you're not eating any solids?
Not one thing ever. No. Because, it puts me down. I pass people nonstop in a race that's like 100 miles.
I'm not trying to win.
Yeah, no. But the reason I pass people is that they're feeling sick and they're trying to use caffeine and all kinds of stuff to offset the fact that their body's just. I keep my blood sugar even the whole time by taking in fuel the entire time, so I'm never having to replenish that fuel. It's always there. Because if you wait, then you have to wait for your body to process it, wait for it to be available.
So that's liquid fuel
Same the whole time.
absorbs faster.
Yeah, so that's what I and all my cyclists do. Because we used to do bars, we used to do gels, then
We'll
we'd be
give
in
it a
these
shot
moments.
and report back.
I want to hear it. Anything else? Yes.
On red meat, as far as like you said, you had a fillet, you used it for dinner. Like, do you only do that maybe once a week for digestion, or like at night? How do you normally do that?
We don't do it as often. There's a lot of different reasons, and everyone has a different belief on that. We predominantly do chicken, and if our kids weren't allergic, seafood, fish, I'd really love people eating more fish.
Right.
But it's also expensive to get good stuff. So.
I mean, he could eat steak every night,
Yeah.
and I know that that's
God bless
not
you.
probably the best. So I was just curious.
Yeah, we try to minimize it. Really, I would say maybe one day a week is about how often we do it. But any other questions? Yes.
How do you feel about Most soups, I know like you wanna avoid creamy soups, but
Yeah, again, my
There's
soups,
a lot
I make soups out of like my leftover stuff, I just turn them into soups. Just like bone, chicken stock, salt and pepper, done. And I love soups. I think soups are great. It's just, it depends on what they're made from. And making them yourself, you have so much control over what's in them. And so I'll take a bunch of chicken stock, I'll start heating it up, and I'll chop up my chicken, and then I'll cook it in the broth. And then I'll add in some soy, some red chilies to spice it up. I'll make it Asian soup. And sometimes I'll take a base soup, and I'll make it a traditional flavor, and then I'll add things for the next day to make it a new flavor. Like, I love soup. Soup's great. Anything else? Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing your posts on Facebook and seeing everyone's ideas. Any questions you have afterward, please come up and let me know. I definitely want to answer anything you have.
Thanks, Scott.
And hopefully we'll see you Saturday at the meal prep class.